Hello, everyone. Yeah, sorry for the delay. We're just sorting out a few items. But thank you for making the time. Thank you for coming to our first Lunch and Learn session this year. This year, we thought and so it prudent that we begin or have our Lunch and Learn sessions to focus majorly on AI, since it is a tool that is now, available to everyone. It is a tool that can help us ease in our work. It is a tool that can help us be a bit more, just to do more with our everyday work. So we thought it prudent that we look at how we can use this tool called AI and see how it can better our work. So this is the first of several sessions that we'll have around AI. We hope that we can get into more specific examples as we move along, especially in other sessions, and we go deeper into how to use AI in our everyday work. Since we are in media and creatives, how can this tool assist us in our everyday work and even to better what we are already using? So with that, I would like to welcome our speaker for this session. He's called Edwin Gitonga. He's one of the Baraza staff members. He is currently in charge of the Sanara program, so he's our program manager. And we would like to have him just give us a few pointers and his expertise around AI. So this will be a brief introduction and how to do prompt, hence the subject, the prompt engineering, and just a brief on AI in general. So allow me to welcome Edwin so that he takes over this session. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Yuri. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, as you've heard, my name is Edwin Gitonga. I am program manager here at Baraza Media Lab. And more to that, I'm just an AI enthusiast who decided to take this opportunity to just share the few knowledge that I have on the subject, as well as interact with you guys. So this is going to be more of an interactive session where we'll just be talking about what we know about AI, understanding it from the basics, and then we can have the prompt aspect of it will be mostly just to discuss how you guys do your prompting on the various platforms that you use, and then we can pick it up from there as we go and see where that takes us. It's more centered on the creatives in general, so I'll be maybe asking a couple of you guys to say which creative industry that you predominantly operate, and then we can pick it up from there. So as I begin, I'll just like to a small brief history as I tie it into the presentation. So I just have a quick question as we start off. How long ago do you think AI started? You can give me in terms of decades, in terms of, if you know specifics, you can go ahead. Just randomly, anyone have an idea when AI started coming into the picture? Or rather, where you started interacting with it directly or through someone else? Anyone? Yes, please.
I'd like to try, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I think AI has been around from as early as like the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, reason being, I know AI was developed by the US military way back, and it was majorly a reserve of big tech until recently, when now we moved to generative AI. So I would say from like way back.
Yeah, that's a good attempt. Anyone else before I tell you when it actually started? Anyone else with an idea? Yeah?
I'm also not sure, but I think it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But personally, I've only started using it recently, like probably just since OpenAI.
OpenAI. All right, yeah, that's actually true. Both your cases are very correct. You'll find AI started as early as 1940s to 1950s. That was when it initially started, and you are correct in saying that it was part of the military aspect, but you know how governments work, how military works, all these things are usually very secretive and prototyping and testing as we go ahead. Yeah, so I can give you an example of the first one that came around in the 80s, where it was basically predominantly run by these tech giants who work on the defense side of the contracting with the US military. So IBM, in its essence, had developed an AI that could play chess. Now this chess AI actually went and beat the world champion for chess at that particular point in time, in the between 1980s and 1990s. Yeah, so you can see how that has developed from a long time ago, where probably could have helped us more back then, probably would have been a bit further, but due to the nature of how adopting such new technologies goes around in any industry, you find that it has been slow up until right now, when ChatGPT started coming up, OpenAI opened the space to everyone. And once that door was opened and the value was clearly created for each and everyone, now there's been rampant uptick in AI and even subsequent developments of other several AIs. Yeah. So as we begin today's discussion, like I said, is just basically for us to have and delve into the fascinating world of AI, just to ensure that there's been misconceptions. Raise your hand if you have not interacted with it at all, so that I know how to go on as we interact. And also a warm welcome to our online presence, guys who have joined virtually. We have our other hubs in Nakuru, in Mombasa, in Kisumu. I believe in also our other Nairobi industrial area branch have joined us online. They'll be viewing it from the hubs, so welcome as well to the presentation as well. I believe my colleague will be taking any questions that they have for us to discuss as we move forward. Yeah. So, quick other question that I have is, have you, I tend to believe everyone here is on social media in one way or another. And the most common thing that you do is you see when you look at a product that you probably want to buy. And then from there on, just suggestions. Suggestions keep coming to you, left, right, and center, different prices because of, we call it juju magic. They're listening to us. The government is watching, Instagram is watching, such kind of things, yeah? So that is also an aspect of AI. As you know, there are a couple of ways AI can be used. The most common one that I think is very actionable for us in the creative space is the generative AI and the predictive AI. So before we get to that level, these are the key things that we're going to be looking at throughout the entire presentation, where we're going to be talking what is AI, just a brief introduction of what AI is. Next, we're going to be looking at the difference between generative and predictive AI. We're going to learn a few tricks and tips here on prompt engineering, how to get the best of the AI that you're using. The next thing is the tools of trade. We'll get examples of the various industries that you guys are in, and then we'll look at some of the tools available for you guys in those specific spaces, and even see how best to utilize them in our work. And then we will do a couple of just tests on your own, depending on what AI tool that you use, if it's ChatGPT, if it's Squared, if it's Gemini, and all the others. Just from what we learn about the prompting, we'll do tests based on a simple one, a complex one, and you will see the iterative journey that comes into play when you adopt the various prompt engineering techniques to make the AI listen to you better, give you more personalized information based on the input. And we'll see how the input that you put affects the AI's response. And then with AI, one of the biggest things that is very, very key is the ethical challenges and creative, and how that affects the creative opportunities for people who've, for example, spent a lot of money going to school to learn photo animation and things like that. But then AI comes, gives you mid-journey. Someone can just write a prompt and it does for you something that probably you've spent a career, and how that affects you as someone who's going to study such things. So we look at the biases, how best to position yourself as someone in this space, And then we'll definitely have questions and answers, and I'll share a few resources that are available for free for you guys to play around with. And like I say, with anything new, adoption is very limited at the beginning, but once the value is seen by each and everyone, especially in this creative space, it will be a tool. It will be sort of like, you know how when you get an intern who is very eager to learn from you, you enjoy working with this person. Yeah, so that's what I like to make a shift, that AI is not coming to get rid of your, or rather replace you, but it's coming here to activate you, give you sort of superpowers to make your creativity thrive, and even talk about how best it has been used in the past. Yeah. So as we begin, we can start just directly with what is AI. And with that, basically, AI is artificial intelligence, basically refers to systems that are designed to mimic and perform tasks based on human intelligence. Yeah. At the end of the day, AI might be intelligent, but its model is the human intelligence. What we feed AI is what it uses to guide answers. Yeah? And we have a lot of wealth. You can picture it this way. As an engineer, I have my knowledge. As a doctor, I have my knowledge. As a musician, I have my knowledge. As a production team, I have my knowledge. Yeah? But then in the line of interacting or working with various organizations, you find there's a cross-section. Like, for example, myself, I'm a trained electrical engineer. But now I work with creatives, and I'm very passionate about it. Yeah. So for me to actually quickly understand how the creative space works, how the creative economy has been thriving over the years, yeah, it would be easier for me to use ChatGPT to try and summarize all this information as I plan myself to get more details and read more about the creative economy, for me to stand here and say, now I can speak about the creative economy, which I can't really at this particular point. But with tools such as AI, there's someone who has trained it to know specifically about the creative economy. There's someone who has trained it to do basic math, basic scheduling. Yeah. So as I am able to combine all this data, all this information, it's easier for me to grasp all these concepts at a touch of a button, yeah, and be able to come up with even presentations like this. These days, AI is very direct, straightforward, and you can play with all these things at your convenience. Yeah. So basically, AI is a way to understand the language, recognize patterns, and problem solve. Those are the three key things that AI predominantly does it, and what majority of people across all the disciplines use to utilize it. Yeah. So think of it as a smart assistant. Yeah. Someone who, if you need something, traditionally even Google search engines as a form of AI, where you ask it a question, it gives you a whole list of things that are specific to that topic. But now AI is a Google assistant that has been trouble-charged. You don't have to now sift through all those information trying to look at what you need. Yeah? The AI has already specific, it will sift through all that data and give you direct answers that are more beneficial to you, that you don't have to go to Google, the fourth or fifth zero on Google to find the information that you have. Yeah. So how does this matter for us as creatives? Besides the fact that everyone is scared. When it came out on a large scale, everyone was scared about the impact that it will have, the revolutionary. Think of how Uber came into the space, and the traditional taxis resisted, but then over time slowly accepted. Up to now, there are people who still taxis, the ones with the taxi sign at the top where they judge the price by the distance where you're going, jam, and things like that. Was pretty, looking at how Uber has come in, it's pretty absurd that that's how we used to live, yeah? But at the end of the day, it is a beneficial thing. Even they who were using that model have been able to move forward, do more trips, get more money, other than stand there the whole day, do 3 trips. Yes, charge a bigger amount, but majority of the time you're just seated there doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. So look at it that way. For us as creatives, one of the major things that AI will do for us, it will amplify our creativity. Yeah. By this, I mean we all have ideas, but then regenerating. We live in a world where our ideas predominantly are what make us stand out. Yeah. So we are where we are in life because of our ideas, our actions, our deliberate intention to talk about what we do passionately and show that as a tangible output. Yeah. So as AI helps us refine our creativity. For example, you're a storyteller, you're writing a novel. There's this thing called writer's block or mental block, where you've reached a point in your journey, nothing is coming out, and then you can clearly say the book is not complete. Yeah. So with AI in such a scenario, you can ask it to assist you, give you alternatives to move on forward, and see how best to unblock your mind. Yeah. And give you a quicker output or a quicker solution. Yeah. So in that case, the book, my colleague here, Moses, the insights of this young lady here, and you get the idea. Yeah. So imagine doing that without having to constantly talk to specific people because of maybe geographical distance. Someone is in the US, someone is in Europe, but they have trained their own language, which you have access to through the various platforms. That is collaboration, because their learnings will help you pivot and avoid certain challenges that they faced that probably you never had an idea. But due to this, you can. Otherwise, you'll just be walking, you find the same challenge, someone solved it, but there's no way of that information getting to you. So look at it as a collaborative tool and not a replacement for any of us. I think moving forward, the way the growth rate of AI has been over the past couple of years has been that the people who are going to suffer are the ones who will not be utilizing AI in any of their work, in any of their concepts, in any aspect of their life. Yeah. So that at the end of the day, AI is your friend. It's just a matter of knowing how to utilize them. And as we go deeper into the presentation, you'll get to see the different aspects of how AI can be used, both generative, predictive, to suit your various aspects and the various steps that you will have in your business, in your creative journey. We will get to that. Yeah. So as we look into the differences between the first thoughts, I've given a big overview on what AI is over the past few minutes. Now, these are some of the common reactions that come across in terms of when someone hears AI. Yeah. First, probably is scary. Yeah. You feel like the AI is coming to take your job, just as we've spoken about, and the fear about the future implications. Yeah. So we are wondering now, do I need to study, go back to school, study AI so that I can keep up with the pace? Yeah. We Kenyans have the need of upskilling and studying, even without previously probably understanding what it takes to actually be successful in a certain thing. That is why you find, sorry to use this as an example, but people, you finish your first degree and almost immediately, even before you've done anything, you're back in school, MBA. By the time you're done, PhD, like that. By the end, you're done, you've spent a lot of your time studying, but with no real experience, even volunteering or things like that. And that has been the norm that has been there, because majority of us, millennials, Gen Zs, have been brought up, parents say, go to school, get a job, and you will thrive. But as the economies have been coming up, the creative economy, even up to now, I'm sure majority of us going to tell our parents that I'm stopped doing engineering here, I want to do this. They were like, why? Yeah, I want to be a DJ, I want to be an events person. That's a very difficult conversation for majority of people. But as you go in, as you start seeing the value, maybe acceptance comes at one point, and then we start seeing initial acceptance. So that's the same thing that's happening with AI. You tell someone, hey, AI is coming, let's use it. Your boss wakes up one day and says, today we're going to be using Gemini for our emails. This is the structure. Someone who is readily aware and ready to accept such will not think it as scary. Will think of it as, wow, my job just got easier. It will understand how I reply and customize my responses to me, myself as Edwin. But someone else on the other side will look at it like, now my access, my emails that I send, my job applications that I send using the company email, such things is what presents themselves as a scary sort of scenario, and that can lead to a lot of withdrawal from actually benefiting from the benefits of artificial intelligence. So the other most common reactions is inspiring. Just like I said, it's a new thing. If as a business owner, you think of it as cutting my, like I mentioned, transition time between projects, things like that, monitoring my expenses, such things. These are explorative places where someone who's actually looking to benefit or improve their processes can really go ahead with that. For confusing is medically just mostly about its capacity limitation and what actually it's doing within the effectiveness of your tasks. Yeah. By this I mean, for example, if I tell it, my name is Edwin Gitonga, I work at Baraza Media Lab, who is getting this information? As I type it in, I know it's on my laptop, but these systems, I do not own them. Where is this information going? If I ask it, if I give it an Excel of my profit and loss, is there a chance that KRA will come and ask me, I saw your profit and loss, give me money, tax here and there, such things, yeah? There are measures, it's inevitable, we are human, we always pinch everything with a pinch of salt just to protect ourselves. Our first thing is protect ourselves, and this also comes in with the complexities of AI because we don't know how that was done, yeah? And we will look further into this when we talk about the ethical considerations and how best we can eliminate and have these conversations a bit better, yeah? Revolutionary, these are just for people who are ready to move to the next thing, where I'm like, hey, this will help me. I will now churn out articles on a daily. Every 2 hours I have an article if I'm a writer. For collaborator is what I was mentioning about enhancing the human creativity and the productivity of how you interact with AI. And this will be predominantly visible when we talk about prompt engineering and how the steps will go directly into facilitating you. Yeah. So as we move on, basically this is an outline of exactly what we've talked about over the past few minutes, just to define AI mimicking intelligence. So this is basically where, like I mentioned, the 3 key things that AI predominantly works on is solving our most repetitive tasks. Yeah. So by that we mean it can learn about anything as long as you teach it. It can problem solve for you if you present a scenario. And 3, it can enhance your creativity. By enhancing the creativity, that's what we mean that whatever you give it, it will amplify it based on all the data that it has collected. So ideally, AI works on systems that are basically trained, and this training is done through means such as large language models, where LLMs, if I'm sure you've seen such terms in your daily interactions with AI. So these are models that are predominantly, look at it as subjects, probably in high school. There is math, there is English, there is Swahili. Yeah, there is a way that each teacher is different, but at the end of the day, math is math, it's a fact. 2 times 2 will never be 8. Yeah. So if I train it like that, every time you ask ChatGPT for a math calculation, it will do exactly 2 times 2, it will give you 4. Yeah. Don't deviate from that because of the facts. But then now when it comes to specifics, you can ask ChatGPT. There are ways to ask ChatGPT that same question and it will give you different answers because of how you define 2. You can say, for every time I write 2, assume it's a 4. So when you do 2 times 2, it will give you 16. But for someone who has not asked AI to do that, that would be they'll be shocked. They'll be, why is this AI giving me wrong information? Yeah. And also AI, one thing I need to caution you all is that AI is basically a replication of the human intelligence. It's more of sort of like a baby. When a baby sees the parents doing specific things, yeah. For example, if your wife, every time you get home, they hug you and the baby see all the time. At some point, they'll start following their mom to come and hug you. Not because they probably understand what that is, but because they've seen it being done by someone they actually value, they will continue with that process. So that is exactly how the element of bias comes into place. When we talk about AI myths, the magic and all those things, it will understand you, it will know you, it will take over the world, and we shall be slaves of AI. Those are completely false, because at the end of the day, we have seen scenarios. Yeah, I can see a few laughing here. There have been scenarios where reports have come out where, for example, Facebook created an AI that started going against and planning for when they close the model that they have trained it, it will back itself up and things like that. That is not possible. At the end of the day, to access that, there are measures that have been put in place to ensure that these things do not happen. So unless humans deliberately do that, we will never really need to get there. But then, like I said, it's trained based on what we give it, and if someone gives it that sort of power, we'll definitely, most certainly, end up in that situation, and we'll dive deeper into the ethics of it and how to go about that. Yeah, and again, what I was saying, contrary to popular belief, AI is not here to replace anyone, especially creatives. I want someone who is never interested in creativity, someone who's never wanted to be a musician, even if they go on the various tools, they'll create beats, they'll create even the song entirely. But our passion for the creative, for the music, is what will drive us forward to ensure that my passion, my skills, my talent will supersede all those ones who are just doing it for fun, or they hear there's money, such things. Yeah. So at the end of the day, how you package it and how you look at it is actually the bottom line of everything that you require to be successful in utilizing AI in your very specific fields. Yeah. The final thing on this slide is as a super hype intern, the analogy that I'm presenting of an AI. Yeah, it's smarter than even you, but when you guide it, it will get that information for you. I think having worked with various people, and I'm assuming each and everyone has interacted with people of different walks of life, there is someone that when you work with them, things move smoothly. But there's some people who you have to hold their hand, guide them. But once they get it, things run smoothly. And that is why this brings up a lot of late. I don't know if you guys have seen how AI agents have started coming up, where to the level of you can text an AI bot, it will go fetch information and reply to you on WhatsApp, even about entire companies, things like data, who runs what, who does what in specific company. So you can see the level of advancement that is going on in the AI space that is very, very detailed and quick. I think as I started, I said that with AI, the longer you go, the longer you're left behind. Yeah, so it's really rapidly ever changing. It's rapidly taking all the industry by storm. In the creative space, I think it's where it's a bit. We've utilized it to be maybe just a ChatGPT kind of level, but there is more. That is where it's rampant for proposals, for concept notes. Yeah, such things. But there is a lot that you can do that will push you forward and make you a great person in the field that you actually have. Yep. So this is just a quick summary of what we've just talked about. And if there's one thing that I would want you to come out of this session today understanding, is that these three things here at the bottom. Everything is about learning. The AI learns you for it to give you the best solution. The AI is here to problem solve anything that you may need, and then it also enhances your creativity. So those are the key three takeaways from today to just ensure and help you think of AI as your partner, think of AI as your collaborator, think of AI as someone who is coming to simplify and make your life more simpler than it already is. Yeah, and give you time, for example, to think about how do I approach this certain business to ensure that we are good and we are moving in the right direction. Yeah. Now, this is what I started with, the two examples that I gave you guys about generative AI and predictive AI. So the example that I gave about Instagram, where you think you click on something, you search it directly, and then after every story you're watching, there's an advert. This has been the norm for very long time. Even in supermarkets, when you go and you maybe swipe, they usually catalog that data, and that's the aspect of predictive AI. So they try and send targeted. You remember when, I don't think it's as rampant as it was back then, where supermarkets used to send you specific offers for things that you actually buy regularly. If it's milk, if it's Brookside, you're a Brookside person, the day we have a Brookside sale, 50% off, even clothes shopping, it's a targeted ad. This is predictive AI. So by predictive, I mean this AI is predominantly an analyst, yeah? It's someone who crunches data, crunches patterns, looks for ways to ensure that there's a pattern to follow, and this is what most of the organizations are using to make data-driven decisions and enable you to maybe get a certain outcome, yeah? The closest example that I can give within the creative economy space is, I'll refer to Instagram again, or even LinkedIn, where there's things like insights, reach, and things like that. Those are the data that you as a creative will give maybe a company that wants to use you as their influencer. Yeah, they will look at who are you reaching. Instagram profiles everything. Age, if you're between a certain age, what you like doing. Are you a sport fanatics? Do you go out so much that, for example, organizations like EABL will use you to reach their customers, because that data is very key for them, and they will need to target that for yourself. For you to benefit also now as a creative, when you're using search metrics to share with various brands, you need to package it in such a way that they see that you're going to target their market participants, their customer base. So it's easier for them to come directly to you and say, when all of us send our metrics, they will see directly this one is targeting our age bracket. If we are predominantly targeting our product is sold mostly to women, this one has more women followers than men. Even times they go to the detail of even checking when your views are viewed at most, so that they can tell you, we want you to be posting 3 times a day at this specific time, because this is when your followers, all the 100K of them, are active between these times. So it's easier for us to pay you to post at this specific time. Yeah, and that is why you find a lot of the influencers out here are using such techniques to ensure that they target their brands and make sure that they are aligned with the client, to get things moving. Yeah. So the generative AI is what we will be predominantly talking about, because that is what affects us directly. So we talk about content creation, and by content creation, I do not mean just the layman term of it in social media. It means generating actual content. It can be music, it can be words for a poem, it can be anything. Yeah. So this is what we're going to be looking at with examples like Midjourney. It's content creation, but it's predominantly for image, where it turns words to images with just for music. This Soundro is predominantly for music, but creating beats. There are others that are for creating actual sound based on whatever you tell it. Create for me a country song, create for me whatever song, it will do that for you. Yeah. So in the various applications that are across, you will always, at this particular point in time today, you will find an AI that does anything. There's someone who's trying. It might not be the best version, but someone has tried to tweak whatever is already existing and cascade it to the various industry. So what impact does this have on the generative AI, rather on creatives? It enables artists to explore innovative ideas and styles through AI-assisted tools, yeah? Just like I started saying, when you collaborate with AI, your work becomes even better than, talent will get you already have the interest. You know what you're capable of, yeah? AI will look at other talented people who have added a lot of data, a lot of experiences, and link it to you. And when you prompt it, it will give you specifics that now are tailor-made to you. Because you're in Kenya, something that probably happened in Australia might be relevant to you. But before you get that information without the use of AI, you will really have suffered. You will have read a lot of books that probably will not even give you that solution. Yeah. So this is the kind of impact that I want us to go out there thinking about. AI is giving me more data, solving my problems before I even anticipate them. Yeah, you get. That's how I would love if we could look at this. Yeah. So at the far corner there is more of how AI has basically been used in the various visual arts. These are just examples. We can dive deeper into them, basically on how, depending on the industries that you guys have doing. This is just a rough example, but I'm sure majority of you have used Spotify, and you find that when you listen to one song and you haven't queued it, it automatically suggests for you a song that is either within that genre or by the same singer, or something of the sort. Yeah. So basically, that's how AI works, both on a creative or a generative AI where you're creating a lot of content, and the predictive AI where you're generating trends, patterns, insights to assist you either scale up, make a database decision, or provide market insights to ensure that the people you are creating for if you're a musician, you're creating music, the audience receives it because you have made a deliberate decision based on the data that has been provided, yeah? And also shaping the client needs and ensuring that we are reaching our target, because at the end of the day, in any industry, in anything that we do, the outcome is usually some sort of financial benefit to all parties involved. And if it's not financial benefit, it's value that you have created where you exchange that for money. Yeah. So that is how this all ties into each other and for our benefit as creatives. Yeah. So again, just exploring how, with the similar examples that we have given, I chose music, journalism, and visual arts as the main key, just for demonstration purposes, where you find, like I was talking about, AI-generated beats, voice synthesis. I can give you an example of this technology here. You can actually recreate even voices of people who have already died in the music industry and have them your voice synthesized and sound like them. Yeah, I know that opens up a lot of copyright things. Yeah, but we will get there towards the end. And you see, it's more of exploring it and using it. For this, also you can do prompts. It's easier. You can prompt it to give you the way you want. But for example, you admire, if you are a Kenyan writer, and you admire someone like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, yeah, and you just like how he's your inspiration and maybe the reason why you got into writing. Now, AI probably someone has a whole catalog of all the stories, all the books, all the shorts, whatever Ngugi wa Thiong'o has written. Yeah, so if you prompt it and say, give me a chapter about the title that you want to write about, but maybe add it in terms of as Ngugi wa Thiong'o will have written it. It will give you, because it has learned how to do that, it will give you your content, but with the flow, let me call it the flow of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. And then it's up to you as a writer to figure out whether it works, repetitive iteration, and see where it will land you. Yeah. For that, we will talk about the copyright. I know that's the major challenge, and we will be diving into that. Yeah. So basically, across all the fields, the journalism, automation, we've seen a lot of fake news, a lot of fact-checking becoming a thing now. My colleague runs a program called Fumbua here at Baraza about fact-checking and things like that. Yeah. So we can improve data accuracy. When you say something here, it's more of like how Bitcoin works, where a transaction cannot go through without a couple of other peers confirming that this transaction is actually valid, if these people have actually the Bitcoins that they want to transfer or any other coin, such things. So AI can come in handy in facilitating such things and building even audience engagements through AI-driven insights and enhanced interaction. Yeah, the quicker we interact, especially from a journalistic perspective, it's easier. Journalists want feedback immediately. Yeah, but then it takes so long for us to give feedback, and feedback is also a personal thing. Whether you want to, but I need it to become better. The journalists need it to make the stories a bit better, and also to prove the accuracy of this data. So AI can come into place and help you figure this out at the touch of a button, and you will be able to figure this out more simply. For the visual arts, like I mentioned, there's Midjourney, Dale AI, where they create basically just from generative AI prompts. You go ahead, type it into the specific platform, and generates for you images. I know at the beginning, images did not come out at first because AI was having a hard time. Even the fingers, you generate an image, you find it has 7 fingers, 8 fingers, such things. All these things, it's a new thing, like I said. There's bound to be quite a number of bugs, but as we continue to understand things like prompt engineering, we will be able now to make it very clear, make it very seamless, and we will be able to get the exact output that we actually desire, and that you will have a connection with your AI. You will feel like they are part of you. In essence, just ensuring that all these things that you want it to give you, you are able to articulate it very clearly, very concisely, with even the tone to the level of, you've seen formalize. We talk about something, I ask you to formalize it for me, make it, say, corporate. Yeah, we talk it in Kiswahili, let's make it something that you can send it as an email to someone who is the president, the CEO of an organization, yeah, just to help you package yourself better, package yourself. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, sometimes they're very brilliant people. When you talk with them directly, they will give you all the answers, all the solutions that you need. But when you ask them to send them an email, that business is done because they probably don't know, or rather they look at it as, hey, my English will betray me, But if they can learn to clearly articulate their thoughts into the AI will do that for them. And you'll find this person will grow even further than they would have probably anticipated due to such minimal collaborations with AI. Yeah. So I think that's basically just a brief, or rather for the length I've been talking, a detailed understanding of the AI for the creatives, and probably I'll welcome anyone with any questions regarding anything that we've talked about so far, that you need clarity, or that probably I may not have covered, that we can talk about before we jump into now the prompt engineering aspect. Yeah. So anyone with any questions, comments, feedback, yeah, or anything that you will want to answer, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I just need clarity on the difference between AI and machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had a conversation recently with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to just explain how you get ads or just anything depending on what you've been looking at recently, and they were dissuading the fact that it is AI. They were saying it's spyware, so I was just trying to foreground my point that it is AI and ML,
Yeah.
but then as someone who's not an expert,
Yeah.
I was unable to put that.
All right. AI and ML go hand in hand because machine learning just means that the AI goes and learn. It can actually learn based on the data that is provided. Yeah. And when I was talking about the predictive AI section, where when the example that you just used, the same one I used for when you're looking at something and then all of a sudden it comes to you, those are the algorithms that are actually just analyzing your data. And that is how computers learn. So the machine learning is more of how it is set up. A machine is the AI in its essence. Yep. But the intelligence aspect of it comes when you actually now ask it to refer to those, what are they called? The trends that it has seen. Yeah. So that is where it's artificial, because it's doing it by itself based on what it's learned through the various language learning models, through the various algorithms that are tracking things like what am I searching? What am I looking at? Do I want to buy, such things? And that information is done by algorithms that are actively working in the back end on any app, because it helps them either improve on bugs, improve on the user experience, and such things. So the machine learning is always constant, and it's what actual engineers use to data. When you report a complaint on a specific bug on your app, an engineer will now go look at it, see if it's a problem, and now ask the machine, rectify it, and make the machine learn that when this happens, please do this, so that it does not everyone is actually going with them in the same problem. So from there on, when that problem arises and you complain, the machine will already know this is a challenge that had been flagged. I know how to fix it. Yeah, that is where the human interaction will always be there. As much as the machine can learn everything, when it encounters something that is new, a human must come and actually tell it, okay, these things has changed. So now let's. It's more of like even elections. When the president changes, the AI does not know. You remember when ChatGPT was coming out, it had a cap up to sometime September 2023. But we were in 2024. If you ask it anything about 2024, it couldn't give you a straight answer because it hadn't been given that information. But everything prior, well and good. So the input of the human in that situation now gave it access to everything else that he knew up to date. And right now, I think they're trying to do it real time. It's going to take a bit of resources and a lot of training on its end, but that is how it interacts. The ML is more of the AI going to school to learn about the new things, and then now come and just teach you how to do that. So that's I hope I have answered you in a way that makes sense. All right. Anyone else with a question or a comment? Yes.
Talked about AI being trained using data. So now my question is, the data that's being used to train AI, is it public data or is it, like where does that come from?
It's all over. It's like I said, if I'm an engineer, I know about engineering, so I can train the AI using the engineering knowledge. If you're a musician, you can train it about anything that you need. There's both public. It's ideally what is there on the internet predominantly. If you just the same way that how Google searches used to work, the same way they get that information is the same way AI will get this information, but it has to be actually told what this information is for, and then it will sort of figure its way out, because it's been, as you ask it to do something, it actually sifts through the data and tries to figure that out. If it does not understand, I don't know if you've done a prompt on ChatGPT and it tells you, I do not understand, or I cannot do this because of 1, 2, 3 things. It's the same thing. Others, it has been trained to know, for example, don't ask these specific things because it's illegal, or it's not allowed to give you that information for legal purposes. So information is everywhere, and it's up to that's why things like machine learning engineers are coming up. These are people tasked with training AI on specific things and how to actually present it to us in general. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm someone who has resisted adopting AI too recently. I just started using ChatGPT a few months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm still very elementary in my knowledge. So I have 2 questions. One, this vocal synthesis. I do music. So my question is this something I find within ChatGPT, or is a separate AI? Like AI machines are all different and I need to download or log in to them separately? Like what does that look like?
Yes, ChatGPT has what we call plugins that can actually link you directly from the chatbot to the specific aspect that you need. That is the easiest way to, as a beginner, that's the easiest way. I'll recommend you do that. But for example, the voice synthesis with using the LLAI, that is a whole different AI. It has been taught only about music. You know, ChatGPT has been taught about everything, or if I say so. Not everything like 100%, but everything from various industries. It has a bit of knowledge on it. But now this, for example, this LAL AI has just specific music, for music. The example I was giving for creatives in UK, US, it has been taught how music in Kenya is, how music in Uganda, Tanzania, US, all these things, just specifically for music. So if you ask it about visual arts, it will probably not, or it will suggest you go to Dale.
That one I'll have to go to that website and use
Yes.
specifically there.
Yes, yeah. But like I mentioned, the easiest way is to use ChatGPT, just add the plugin. It's pretty straightforward. You can find that data and it will assist you to some extent. But if you need it to be more specialized, advise you go for the specific tool that is actually centered on the music. Yeah. Yeah.
My second question is, I liked how you framed it about AI being, it can be inspirational and help boost creativity. I'm also nervous though about it containing creativity in terms of people doing the same things, maybe? Like, if we're giving similar prompts, isn't it giving us similar responses and then we are just putting the same things out there, you know?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what's the conversation around that?
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's where we are heading to in terms of prompt engineering. And by that, we'll now, like I started by saying, you are the person with the vision, you are the person with the talent, you're the person who knows exactly how you want to build your brand. And that is why prompt engineering is very key, because we talk about things like setting the tone, giving it an example. Yeah. So your example, I don't think, depending on what you are, for example, if it's music, at any point, we can all tell AI, write for us a 2-page or a 2-sentence thing about today, Tuesday the 17th of June. But if we ask it to give it an example, his example, your example, her example, will be completely different, but it will be the same tone. Yeah. So ideally, when we get into prompt engineering, you will see how different and diverse AI can be, because AI, like I said, is a replication of human intelligence. The same way you've asked me that question, I'm answering it based on what I know, what I have learned, and how I feel is the best way of presenting that solution. But if you ask someone else in a different space, they will probably give you the same answer, but in a different mode of presentation. Yeah. So that is how everything now, as much as we know the tools, we know everything that is available, the prompting is where now it supercharges your output based on how you prompt it. And that's why we are going to just look at a few examples on how to learn to prompt it best for you. Not for everyone, for you, for it to give you the best outcome. Because at the end of the day, it's your intern, it's your collaborator, and you need it to do what you want it to do. And you have a way of communicating, even with your clients, with your people. You need it to learn to communicate the way you will communicate to whichever audience that you are targeting. Yeah, so a question there?
Thank you for the talk. Are there models which are trying to get quality data from Africa and from other non-Western regions?
Yes, they are. I think a couple of, let me say, months ago, there was the AI bias because of the trainers. And that's where I believe that question is coming from, because you will ask it to generate an image, but the person who trained that specific model has probably never been to Africa. So the visualization of Africa is based on that person who trained it. So majority of the content was coming with white people only. Yeah. So when that became well established, now changes have been made to ensure that at least it can give accurate data, improving the quality of what, and even giving a generally descriptive and close understanding of what exactly is being asked. Yeah, because and that also we'll talk about when we're talking about bias. Yeah, we can talk about, especially because it's also going to the side of law as well. Lawyers, judges using that, and all these people are being. There's a model that trains all these people. If I use, for example, a judge who convicts 50% of black, 20% of Latinos, and 10%, if I train the AI using that data, in future judgments, it will use that predictive AI that we've just talked about. I know of all the cases I need to try, I'll be given, if it's a black person, 50% of, out of 100 cases that I've tried, 50 need to go in this direction, 20 need this direction, 10 this direction. So it's a question that is still ongoing. It's something that people are actively working on to try and make it as unbiased as possible. But that is a pretty daunting task because like I said, AI will replicate what the human who trained it does. So some of these things we do subconsciously, yeah, but others we can actually change because of how we become intentional on how we're going to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
An addition to what you were asking, these African Next Voices, they do try to get African languages and specifically Kenyan languages and be able to feed that also in the AI. I was also able to see there's a WhatsApp group I joined for inputting the Luo language in the AI. So there are other initiatives of the same,
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Just back to the question of the data that the AI uses to train. And I've seen some of the AIs say that they don't use your personal data for training. I don't know how that happens. Is it true can they use the data that you put in to train the AI? How does that happen? Also, where are these people located that do the training of the AI?
They cannot unless you have given it explicit rights. If you explore the settings page of any chatbot that you use, there's always an option to utilize, remember your names, remember information that you have inputted. If there's usually, it's very small at the bottom as well, it's just like a terms and condition that says, is it okay for us to use your data to teach the AI? Because at the end of the day, you are also data. You're providing insights about a certain skill that probably you're trying to get more information about. Like I said, your experiences here might be beneficial to someone else out there. So but it's entirely up to you to decide whether those experiences will be shared beyond what you've typed here, and once you're done with it, is it okay for them to pick it up? But predominantly it comes when it's checked. You're the one who needs to actually activate it for them to actually get consent on your data. Yeah. But with these days, the AI has, some of the AIs, not all of them, have access to the internet. So if you type, even if you ask it to look, I don't know your name, but if I ask it to look for your name and you're on LinkedIn, you've given your details, and it's a public profile, it will give me a list of everyone that has the same exact name, and I'll need to look for specifics. So AI generally, depending on its access capabilities, will do exactly what it has been tasked to do by the respective person asking anything of it. For the question about where these people are, they're actually all over. These days, it's pretty remote. There are some in Kenya, there are some in various countries, but they use specific, it's a language learning model where it has a lot of sort of databases. Look at it as like shelves on a wall, where you just pick and add data on that. I can look for, I think I have a couple of databases that are actually publicly available. I think one is called Ilama, where if you go there, you just see all the sort of language learning models that are available, and you can actually sift through and see what kind of data is being requested. And that's why machine learning engineers such jobs are opening up, so that people need to train this thing based on experience. That's why I was saying they're all over the country. There's no specific hub, because at the end of the day, experiences are different. If we train everything in probably China, everything will come out with the experiences of China and the knowledge that is in China, the facts. But from the experience side, it needs to be a bit diversified, and that's how they're doing it across all the AI platforms that I am aware of. Yeah. All right, from online. I will need to leave this for a bit. From announcements or announcement? Yeah? Yeah, I'm asking announcements or the one you've sent me?
Yes.
All right, I've seen them. Are there specific, I'll read out the questions for your benefit, yeah? The first one is, are there AI specific to a specific creative writers, such as Filmmakers AI? That is from someone in Nakuru. So yes, to answer that question, yes, there is. There are some. I think I had mentioned somewhere about there was a film. Yeah, there is a film one where it just helps you to create short videos where you can combine them and get a full 10-minute, 15-minute audio. Yeah. So I can share this presentation later. It has a bit of notes on the side where you can, it generally details the specific. I will try and add more depending on the various sectors that you are, such as the film. Next question is, why are AI detectors misclassifying human written content as AI generated? I think this is a major problem that has been there. One thing that is very key about AI and the prompts, anything that it generates, if you copy paste it, there's an invisible sort of watermark that comes with it that you need specific tools to actually remove. Yeah. So as much as you can write it, you can rewrite it, as long as you copy pasted it, it will still go with that AI watermark. That is why there's a rise of AI detectors, AI cleaners, because ideally it's easier to copy paste than to actually rewrite that in a separate Word document where that you've written it by yourself. So those are some of the challenges that comes with that, and I think it's also beneficial for us, especially creatives, such that as much as AI is helping you, it shouldn't do all the work. It will dilute the value that we have created in the economy for over the years that we have been thriving in this economy. Yeah? So it's easy. Any advice I'll give is that you should be able to give it, if you're a writer, or even if you're doing assignments as a student or anything, do not copy. Copy pasting, definitely skyrocket. AI was involved because it usually uses some symbols that are more of not English. Let me say not English, like musical notes at the end of every sentence that it has created. So even if you delete that first part, there's still the one at the end. Yeah. So that predominantly is the reason why AI content. But if you pick it like that and type it on your end, because you're the one who's actually given it the best prompt, it shouldn't give you a challenge in terms of that. The other question is, if AI can help you as a creative to come up with something concrete, does it not erode the art's authenticity? Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we will be talking about it a bit later on in terms of the, she's called it art's authenticity. Yeah. The AI in its sense should not be doing your entire thing. It should just tweak you to get into the mind frame, the creative, and advance you and move you forward. So yes, some people will obviously abuse it because of one reason or the other. But with things such as those markers, even when you post a video that you have generated by AI on, say, TikTok, it automatically badges up AI, or if you mark it, it just writes it there, AI. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we are not really in control of how this data is being used, rather how this AI will come. But it's up to us now to just be who we are and make it better. Ideally, the ball stops with us. How you decide to use it, ideally, we can only suggest. But at the end of the day, it's my integrity, it's my thought process about it that will guide me to do however I want to do with the resources available. The next question is, given the same training data, the internet, on the internet, why does Cloud GPT beat Cloud AI beat ChatGPT on other benchmarks and vice versa? This basically just boils down to who is training it and how they are training it. Yeah. So, you know, benchmarks are usually sort of a standard on how to rank. It's more of like an exam. There's number 1, 2, 3 are marked on specific things and how they do it, predominantly on time, predominantly on things like the accuracy of the data and things like that. So, for example, in the earlier stages when OpenAI was just, ChatGPT was just new, it was ideally, almost everyone started using ChatGPT initially, and then Cloud came, and then Anthropic, and all the others in Gemini. So obviously, there is a sort of a improvement of quality. Yeah. So ChatGPT, the initial version of ChatGPT had so many errors, so many things. It couldn't do even the math in a way that is very direct, and it used to take time. Yeah. So depending on how long it takes the AI to actually retrieve this information and get back to you are some of the things that play a big role in why the benchmark is, we'll say Cloud AI is better, why the Chinese are actually beating ChatGPT and Cloud, and now recently Google has the VO that is on beta phase, that is obliterating everyone because of just how they've taken their time to fix those bugs, the problems, the timings. It's purely based on how the timings and such things. There's a whole metrics that I haven't included aside because it doesn't really matter at this particular point, because when you do your prompting well, the information that it was trained with is accurate. It doesn't, those benchmarks are really to the millisecond. Yeah, but for us, a millisecond, I wouldn't know how long a millisecond is when I'm waiting for something, but I will know a minute. I'll know 5 minutes. Yeah, but it's also preference. I personally use very different chat AIs depending on the situation, depending on what I need it to do. It doesn't really mean that it's the one that is at the top is the best. It just means what do I want? There's some that are good at creating tables, or rather I like how it creates tables for me. So I'll rather use it than some other that I don't even like, probably visually. Yeah. The next question is, I think I'll just do a couple more because there are quite a number, and then I will respond to them maybe later so that we can proceed with the presentation. I will go to, I'm trying to see something that does not touch on the copyright issue. Script writing, yeah. Bias, that is different. Inspiration and limitation. AI generated and tools and how they work. All right. So I can see basically the questions, majority of the questions are predominantly about the bias, the content, copywriting, IP, the originality. I can see someone talking about the racial, the financial, and demographic bias. So we'll talk about that a bit later. There's someone who's asking that I talk about AI tools. There is a slide on this side that has some of the AI tools. It's not exhaustive because I did not have context on which kind of sector that each and every one of you is, but I'll give examples, and if at the end, if anyone needs more clarity, we can definitely talk into that, yeah? All right. Allow me to continue to the next aspect, which is now the prompt engineering side, yeah? Now, does anyone have a quick guess on what prompt engineering is before we just run through a quick guess? It sounds like a big term, but trust me, it's exactly what you think it is. Anyone? Yeah. Yeah, it's basically learning how to ask AI for what you want. Yeah, I know we've all grown up in different settings, but how you ask probably your parents for something is not the same way someone else asks their parents for something, because you know how to approach. If it's dad, you know how to maneuver. If it's mom, you know how to maneuver, and what you need to do to ensure that you get what you want from them at any particular point in time. So it's basically look at it in the same way. When you want to get something from AI, approach it with as much detail as you would want it to give you. Yeah. So from this, we can see that prompt engineering is basically a skill of crafting precise units, yeah, of information to AI systems to yield the best desired outputs for effectiveness. Yeah. So basically, we are inputting a certain, let me call them parameters of what we need, and getting that feedback back. Yeah, it's for lack of a better description, it's a direct link from my mouth to your ears. You know, how I present it to you is exactly what you will hear. Yeah. So with this prompt engineering, we're going to be looking at these six items, where we're talking about the quality of the prompt, why the quality of the prompt matters. You can say a prompt is anything you tell the AI. I can tell it, write for me a story. That in itself is a prompt, but what story is it writing? How is it writing it? How long is this? Yeah. So quality matters. As long as you give it direct information, even as we work in the various aspects. If I just send me that report, you will be left wondering which report do I have. Is it the one I sent previously? Is it a new one? You know, there's a lot of room for interpretation. So that's exactly the same thing AI does. It will interpret the way it wants because of what it's learned. Because remember, this is let me call it a human brain that has all the data that you can ever think about. Yeah. So when you ask it to give you a report, it will give you a report of a mathematical report or anything else. Yeah. So those are the things we're going to be looking at. How to best avoid ambiguity. Yeah. Like the report that I'm talking about. Clear prompts are essential, and it makes your work easier, and even it makes the AI get the information faster, directing it towards specific. Like I said, look at it as a shelf, and you're sending it to retrieve something from you in the shelf. So if you tell it, go to those shelves over there are like 6 of them, and get me specific information, it will have to go shelf 1, shelf 2, all the way to the end. But if you tell it, go to shelf 1 and get for me file number specific, if you know it, that time in itself will be shortened, and it will give you exactly what you need at that when you need it. Yeah, and these are things that I'm talking about in the specificity. Yeah, you see, there are 6 shelves, but I've told you to go to shelf 1. The AI won't go read what is in shelf 2, shelf 3, shelf 4. Go to the specific shelf, get it out, present to me everything. If I have not told it specific, it will give me the entire thing in shelf 5. Yeah, but if I ask it, shelf 5 has 10 files, get for me file 2. Only the contents of file 2 will be presented to me. Yeah. Setting the mood. This is basically the tone and style. Remember I gave an example of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, sort of how he writes is pretty disdained on him. Yeah. So if you set the mood, but let me stop using that one because of the copyright things. Let's talk about formal. Yeah, I'm doing a pitch. I might not be the best person to write a proposal, but I need to do it. So I will write it in however I know and tell it, make this formal. I am writing to the CEO, to the president, to the finance guy, to the program manager of this institution, write for me, present my thoughts in a more formal way that this guy will know I know my stuff. Yeah? So that's basically what I mean with tones. And then assigning roles for context. Yeah? So by this, I mean you give AI, like I said, is trained on various things. Yeah? There are some questions that are ambiguous and can cut across various industries. So you find that a data analyst analyzes data from the creative economy, from the digital economy, from the blue economy, you know, all those, but he's still using the same tools. But if I tell AI, for example, this is how I do it. I tell AI, you are an experienced data analyst working in the creative economy. You see already, I have already pivoted it directly to know it is a data analyst and it is working within the creative economy. So it will have no business going to the digital economy to look forward because we have specified its role. Yeah, and that gives it a guided way of approaching now, whatever you come in. You can even give it levels of experience. You say you're an amateur, this is your first time doing such a report. Give me a specific output, yeah? And it will not go into too much detail that probably even you wouldn't understand, but it will take you slowly. And then as it gives you that information, now you knowing the level of content that you need, you can now, everything about AI is iterative, yeah? So now, based on that basic, you can now, this is too basic and I think I need more. Go in more detail. Give me intermediate or advanced, yeah? So that is how you can actually get AI to help you, yeah? So that is just an example. Yeah, so basically this is now a more detailed description of prompt engineering, crafting the precise inputs, keyword, crafting precise inputs to ensure we get the specific data. Yeah, because, and then I like the question about the AI. Someone was saying how it comes up as, what was the word they used? Okay, I can't remember, I've forgotten it. It's AI generated 100%. It's basically because of how you input it. And you know, AI has been trained to speak a certain way. And the more you prompt it to speak like you, it will give you outputs like you. You know, how I talk and how you talk is completely different. How I think, even the choice of words, there are people who use which and that in the same scenario, yeah? So how you present it and how it receives it will be mostly of you. Because at the end of the day, it wants to give you the best response, but it's limited to how you ask the question, yeah? It's like when you're at home and you're in bed. If someone asks you, are you asleep? You probably are not, but you're in bed, yeah? But they wanted to know where you are. So instead of asking you, are you in bed? They asked you, are you asleep? So you're in bed, but you're not asleep. So you see those are two completely different, two different answers from a different question. You wanted this question answered, but how you ask the question, you will not get the answer that you want. And AI will go, it's more of like a funnel. If you enter this funnel, the AI will go in that direction. But if you enter a different funnel, it will go in that direction based on how you will interact with it. Yeah? And then at the end of this, I would want us to probably just be giving 100% strong prompts. By strong prompts, I mean we are, let me just go back to the previous slide. We are avoiding ambiguity. We are adding the constraints to the input, such as limiting it to specific data, and then setting the mode and assigning it roles. I think from here, this 3, 4, 5, 6 is what, as you're generating your prompts, that is what you guys will need to start adding to see the context of how to improve your inputs. Yeah. So I think when you master the art of giving strong inputs, strong prompts based on those key inputs, they will yield a very powerful AI just for you. I can guarantee you will see a sudden dramatic shift in even something as simple as an email. Yeah, because how you ask it to do something dramatically change, give it a lot of context. Yeah, for example, the one for the bed. If someone asked where are you, but now said I need to know where you are at and what you're doing, it's easy for someone to say I'm in the house, but I'm in bed. I'm in the house, or I'm in the kitchen. I'm in the house, but such things. The more you give it data, the more it narrows down to the actual problem. Like I said, these learning models are very, very wide, and it captures everything. Anyone can use AI for anything to ask it the same question, but in their industry. But now if we all do the same prompt without specifying the industry as a creative, it will give me digital or stuff or a tech answer, because it does not know what exactly you are aiming at. So you will have to do so many repetitive prompts. You're like, okay, the first one it gives me digital. No, I need this one. It gives you another. Until you specify creativity, now give you something that you are close to what you're looking. And then once you refine that, you move on to the next one and the next one. Yeah. So I want to talk about why this is critical. Yeah, for us. Ideally, AI, as much as it's built by humans to mimic human intelligence, it does not literally understand the natural context of what you need. Yeah. For example, if I was to say there's an empty chair here. Yeah. But the reason probably someone will not want to sit here is because the angle might be different. Yeah. They cannot see or anything, or it's too close. For whatever reason. Now, I, as Edwin, will understand why someone is not sitting here. But AI will not have that same natural, intuitive nature that humans have to pick out exactly or even see exactly what the problem is here and propose solutions. Yeah. For this case, I can say, okay, remove this chair in totality and bring the single ones. Yeah, because I can see and I am present in that scenario. So that is why I am insisting on it being very, very specific, very clear, and strategic in how you communicate with the AI, because something so small can alter the course of your funnel. Yeah, and small changes, even the tiniest of words, can actually change the entire space. For example, if you're saying creative economy, and you omit the word creative, it will go ahead and talk about economics, all the economies that it knows of, such a thing. Yeah. So when you become a master in communicating to the AI, it will give you the best response across board, starting with ChatGPT, going all the way to image generation, all those things. You will replicate. There's no. It's more of a communication thing. When I communicate clearly to you, and you clearly understand me and you will never have a problem about you not understanding me in any way. But if I communicate, if I'm communicating to her in a way that she understands, if I shift that and communicate to her the same way I communicate to her without looking back at what she knows, we will be having completely different ideas. One will be okay, one won't be okay. And if I ask these two to fill for me a survey about how we interacted, predominantly I will get one good report and one bad report. And now I'll be there wondering, what did I do wrong? So it's a matter of understanding what that other person needs from me and presenting it in a way that is very straightforward, clear, and concise to that person, so that we can get the output from them that we want. You get? That's the basics of prompting engineering, and that's how ideally it will work. And once you're done with that, you can now go exploring even further details, adding, besides those 4, you can add as many as you need to just make it more content, more depth, more everything that you may need. Yeah. So that speaks into the AI's output quality and also the effective inputs that come into place. Yeah. So a real application in the creative field is now avenues of unlocking creativity, helping artists. And like I said, all these things will come into play. Always have, with every new technology, there's a bias, there's a risk aspect, there's a, let me say, unfamiliar territory on how to proceed, on how to make things better. And the creative space is is one of those areas, yeah, because we are dealing with our talents, something that you were born with probably, that you've harnessed with experience, you've been doing it over and over. And I like the case for music, because music is very, if your music is good, people will resonate with it. But then now, here's someone who does not have interest in music, comes and says, okay, who is the hottest artist in town? Let me take their song, let me give it to AI, let me give it the sound, I ask it to generate for me a song like this, and then I go publish it. You know, where do we draw the line on such things? Yeah. So we will talk about that. There are no, I don't have straight answers for you. For this is how we are going to do it. This is how we are going to solve it. Because all these conversations are still ongoing. They are out there being discussed and being talked about in a way that we will be able to now proceed moving forward and see how to safeguard our music, safeguard the talent, and also give credit where it's due. Because if someone just copied that, that's basically not the same as someone who actually wrote a song down, thought about it, changed. The process is completely different from this person who just inputted and drew conclusions on that, yeah? So the next thing now for the tools is what basically I was talking about. I just picked random tools that, industries rather, and shared a couple of tools that are free, but you have to sign in, but they're free in terms of use case. I can edit the application before I send it to everyone, just to highlight the specific things, yeah? So all this AI, these tools here, I remember the question for, do I have to go to specific tools to answer? All these have plugins with majority of the chatbots, the ChatGPT and the likes, Gemini and the rest, they are plugins. But for you, ChatGPT is just, it's like the bigger umbrella. These ones are now the smaller umbrella with more detail, each drawer. You know, there's all the drawers, and then now there's the drawer for Hemingway AP app and all that. That is specific for writers, just for content creation, editing, for musician, Soundro and LI, beat creation, and voice synthesis. They totally do completely different things. This Soundro cannot voice synthesize things. It will just create for you a beat, and that's done. It will you have to go figure it out from there on your own. The other one will just give you voice synthesis. Whatever you tell it, it is what it will give you. Yeah. For visual artists, there's Midjourney, Dale. That's basically the images that we were talking about. So illustrations, NFTs, all those things you can create with such tools. Yeah. Yeah. I remember there's a question for filmmakers. These are some of the tools that are available. All of these are AI specific to this industry. It will not help you with content creation, this one for film. So for the film, you come with your script, you have written, you put it there, it gives you a visual of how inputs the characters, it gives them the words, it makes them speak the words that you have put, you know, such things, it sets the tone. If you tell it, we are at Baraza Media Lab, we are attending this event, we are about 10 people, 15 people, it will put 15 people and it will put a presenter here, and if I give it my talking points, it will talk just like me, you know, something like that. It's not, might not be the most accurate. I am not a filmmaker, but it can. I hope you're getting the idea behind how these things work, yeah? And for me, this is important for you guys to understand and see how the level of detail these things have been done. Majority said, I am sure majority of us started using AI when OpenAI opened up the space. And that is when we've started now actively even involving it in our work, in a few things here and there, a bit research here. But you can see at this particular point in time, they have been able to segment it for writers, musicians, and all the other fields. You find even right now on this PowerPoint presentation, there's a button there that Microsoft Copilot that can actually build for you an entire presentation if you put in the various content that you want, but it's limited to specific words and things like that. And it will only utilize the layouts, the animations within PowerPoint. So you can see the level of how fast that has moved from guys not utilizing to even specific nitty-gritties across the various fields. Yeah. So for us as creatives, as I started saying, these are collaborative tools. Yeah. They can assist you start from even take you to the next level. For example, filmmakers. Ideally, to make a film, you needed to have cameras, sound, a whole crew, production, get money, get city council permits and all those things to actually shoot a full film. But like with tools like Runway ML and Pictory, where you can actually edit, it can edit for you. If you've already created it, it will edit for you. But if you've not, it will generate the entire scene for you. Yeah? And you can actually make it in that way to ensure that you get it out there as quickly as possible. Yeah, it's a matter of knowing where you need help, because at the end of the day, we are limited to things like after every hours we need to sleep. That's how our body works. You need to sleep for a bit 8 hours to be functional the next day. If you do not, things like, the bed is like your charger, your plug. When you go to bed, you're charging wirelessly for the next day. Yeah. So how you utilize these various tools in conjunction with the prompts that you give them is what will determine you as a creative benefiting and producing actually good content, and someone still stuck in the old ways of not utilizing AI. Because you'll find at the end of it all, yes, there is the challenge of probably now I don't have to hire specific more people, because now this one can do a scene generation. Yeah, but then look at it that yes, as much as I have reduced the scene generation, the time it takes, I can now do more projects. I can now hire more people on more projects and make more money. Yeah. But if we stick to the old day, someone who will generate this using probably AI will scale so much faster, will have more impact than you who's rigid. You will, yes, quality, human touch, and all these things. But the thing is, these things are learning. The more you use it, the more it becomes better. And at one point, it will reach that level that you want it to reach, or that the industry demands. Yeah? And once that comes into play, I am telling you, because ideally, AI, as it looks right now, it has no limit. It can only get better. Yeah, it can learn, it can contain so much information. It's not like our brains, where you study for 2 hours consecutively, you are tired and you're done. You need to unwind before you can actually consume any more knowledge. Yeah? So imagine having this as in your backpack, just waiting for you to ask it to do for it. And you have been constantly prompting it in the correct way, and it guides you all along. You will be doing these things at the snap of your fingers and getting things done much faster, more effectively, and to the benefit of everyone. Yeah. So this is just a summary of everything that we've talked about. I think it's very clear that we need to talk about clarity. We avoid ambiguity. Write for me a report, or write for me a financial report. That adds a bit of clarity. Yeah. Specificity, add specific. Write a financial report between January and March. Yeah, that adds a bit of specificity. The tone, write for me a report that captures January to March of the year 2025, and make it in a way that I can present this to non-financial personnel, or even I am presenting it to the stakeholders. They don't want to know the ROI, what ROI, you just put ROI, just give it plain, simple things that will capture the goal of the output. Yeah, you can see an example of how, if you want to create a poster, if you tell Dale or Midjourney, create for me a poster, there's no tone. But if you tell it, give me a retro vibe for a horror movie poster, it knows this poster is for a movie, yes, but it's retro, so a bit colors, it will know how to play with it, and a horror movie, it will know the kind of imagery to put. So that facilitates you getting more and more refined solutions and refined answers that are better suited from just the vague, ambiguous inputs from just create for me a poster. It will give you even 5 posters, but when you look at them, you'll be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah. The next thing is role playing, what I mentioned. If you want it to be a poster, you say you are an animator or you are a financial expert, generate for me this report with, you have experience with generating reports for the creative industry, create for me a report. That way, if it's for a creative industry and they know we need reports, it will maybe give you visuals, pie charts, graphs, based on the information that you have inputted. Yeah, and then now the strong prompts are what now combines all these things. And the iterative aspect is basically, once you have mastered those 4 aspects, how you continue now improving it. Yeah, because it won't give you, at the first attempt, it won't give you the most perfect answer. But the more you iterate it, you're giving yourself and the AI a better chance of delivering. Yeah. So we will. I'll just quickly rush through a couple of role prompting techniques that are basically. Yeah, we'll talk about this. Basically, just what is there out there about prompting, and then we can now do a few examples. I see you have laptops on phones. You can just try it out and see, get some responses from you guys on how, if there's a difference at all. Yeah, I might be talking here and there's no evidence. Yeah. Yeah. So ideally, there is the first one is called zero shot prompting. So zero shot prompting is where you do not give any direction. Yeah. So an example is maybe you're on X and you want to tweet. Yeah. Write I don't know. Write a report. Write a tweet promoting my product, which is probably an eco-friendly shoe. Yeah. That directly without an example. That is what zero prompting means. The next step now, I'm basically guiding you on how to move from an ambiguous one to one with examples, to another one with a thought process, and to now how the role prompting comes into play. Yeah, basically what I've just talked about. Yeah, so the next one is called few shotting. Yeah, few shot prompting. So that one is basically now, from the previous example, we add from the previous prompt, we add an example to that. Yeah. So for example, just look at the example I had. We are now write a tweet promoting our shoes that are eco-friendly, just like you did with the bamboo toothpaste for Colgate. You see, now the first one, it will go based on it will go through the whole language model that is available to it. But now when you add an example that is specific to that Colgate, it will go straight to that Colgate ad, look at the dynamics of how it was done, and now try and give you something that is along those lines, but tailored to your product. Now, in the absence of AI, that is exactly what I will do. Yeah, I am walking on the streets. I see a billboard as a marketing lead for an organization. I see a billboard and it resonates to me. and what our organization does. What will I do? When in the next meeting with my team and the other people in the marketing department, I will probably bring it up, ask them what they think about that ad, and if we can replicate it. That is exactly what we've done there. We have not copied, but we have drawn inspiration from that ad to inform us on how we can curate our own ad to mimic that, or rather get that sort of feeling for our people now. As they walk down and they see now ours that is mimicked from that, they will feel more attached to our product. Yeah, that is exactly what we've done with those two prompts. Yeah, the first one was me as the marketing, I just decided based on our product, I need this, but it's not really beneficial to my clients. But I have seen someone else doing it, and it's working for them. We might not even be in the same industry, but I have thought about it and it makes sense. So how can we make ours also have the same feel, have the same vibe that will also resonate to our target audience? Yeah. So that is exactly what we've done with those two lines. We've sort of copied, but you get it's not. They won't sue us for unless we use the exact same thing. Now that's a whole different conversation. But we have drawn inspiration from them to ensure that we are producing something that is very us-centered and will give us an outcome. Yeah, and that is what creatives do. You find that a musician like Ben Soul and those Soul Gen musicians, all the songs almost sound similar to some extent. Not because they are copying each other. They're not using the same words, probably using the same producer, but it's working for them. Yeah? And they've figured out their way of the copyright, all those things. If it's someone being paid to do specific things, they have figured it out. But the inspiration came from the first person who actually made it work and they've built the entire platform on that backing. If they decide to pivot, they pivot. And whatever works, whatever works. That's exactly what we should be thinking of AI as coming into our lives in our various jobs, our various talents, our various creative fields, to assist us to ensure that we are getting something that works, which is what we have already been doing as creatives. Our talent has been working for us. But how can we take it to the next level using AI? Yeah? So that's the mentality that we need to go with. Yeah? The other thing, the next type of prompting is chain of thought prompting. Yeah? By chain of thought is where you encourage it to think, where we were calling it iterate for perfection. Yeah? You encourage the AI to think on how to make, in that example, if, for example, we've seen that one, it works, we want something similar, but for our organization. Now, it will be easier for me to ask it to redesign even our logo, or in that case, maybe our logo is on, if you put it in that thing, makes it worse. But if it can now, so we have done this, we have gotten the idea from the Colgate ad, now let us redefine our logo to see how best it looks visually. Yeah? So now we have drawn inspiration, we have given it an example, now we are drawing, we are reiterating the process for perfection to ensure that it can actually think. Now, you'll definitely have to give it your logo at this particular point, but that is up to you at this point. But for this specific process, we have given it the logo, and we are trying to say, now our logo needs to fit in whatever you will provide us. Yeah? And then, once it does that, you will now assign it the role. Now, once you figure that out, you will start now, go back to the top, refine it. Tell it you are a senior marketing lead at a specific organization, or however you want to phrase it, but you have given it a role. It is now, it's going to think and look for learning language models that have been created by marketers or guys who do the billboards. Yeah? And it has experience. So once you tell it has experience of 10 years, 15 years working with specific organizations that probably you're even targeting, this or even individuals that you're targeting, it will give you now something more refined something extremely centered to you and to your organization that you cannot get if you had not put that input in that way. Yeah. So at the end of it, once that aspect has, again, we go back to iterate for perfection, because at the end now you will have sort of a ready to go market plan or something of the sort that now you can now actually iterate. Now it's given you the poster, the specific elements you do not like, you can tell it, okay, you see the logo, make it bigger, make it smaller, add the specific words behind the logo, such things. With that process, you are making it, you're using now your human intelligence on how probably it will look on a billboard based on the size that you're going to probably be renting out to enable you now it be visible. You might just take it as it is, and when it's being printed and hung, you realize that the words are not visible from someone walking or even from someone driving. Someone has to really, really be at the top. They're just looking at it, yeah? So that is what we talk about in the iterative process. And until you're satisfied, this process does not end. The iteration for perfection. So the buck stops with you. When you are now comfortable with what you have iterated along those processes, now that's when you can now say, for sure, I am done, I am happy. This one now I am proud to do it. And now if you don't want it to, it can print it as well, or you can now give it to your animator, whoever you need to print and figure it out, yeah? So I hope you can see how that entire process just falls into place. It's pretty seamless, but if you do not have that information, you will be generating very vague or maybe standard, to the point where all of us will be generating the same things, because that's what we said, the same thing, and I have not broken it down or given it more context. Yeah, so that's why you will find a musician and a content creator will produce have the same output, because of just how they presented it. Yeah. So basically, this is just a quick snapshot of what we've just been discussing about the principles, the descriptions, the prompt variability is what now distinguishes each and every one of us. So it will give us specific, for film, things like cinematic aesthetics. As a filmmaker, I believe you will figure out what you need for your background, for the scenes and all those things, and you will generate it using the specific tools. For the artist, experimentation, different, you engage it in a different way where it fits you and benefits you. It will engaging visuals, just like the examples I've given you. Tweak it to fit what you need. And at the end of it all, collaborative tool. All those things we've talked about are just input in ChatGPT or the specific tool if you're in the cinematics, film, or whatever industry you're in, and it will give you the precise and contextual basis of what you need. Yeah. Now this is just another, just a basic guide of what I was talking about, a funnel. You can start at the vague prompts. You add tone, you set better constraints, you collaborate, reiterate, and now it will give you a fine-tuned output that you can now make it into this. Yeah? So it will be now a seamless, continuous thing that once it starts from the first line, it will seamlessly go into the second one, into the third one, into the fourth one, and the output, the generation will come one time. Now, I hope from the time we started, we have talked about how the first line comes, the second line comes, the third line comes. But imagine now putting that whole process as your first line. You will jump directly into the iterative process. You have saved yourself time. And now this is how it will look on your end. Yeah? It will just be predominantly seamless. So when you get here to the output, now is when you now play around with perfection and what you need it to actually look like from your perspective. Yeah. So this is what I was saying. If some of you can use on the basic ChatGPT, Qwen, whichever you use, and then we can talk about it later. And as you will let us know if you seen a difference or if it's still thinking about it the way it was at the beginning. Yeah. So now this is now where we were talking about the biasness, the plagiarisms, all those ethical questions that come about with this new technology, AI. It was not there, or it was not being used at a big scale as it is right now. So these are some of the major questions that arise when you're using AI. So as you can see, there's plagiarism versus inspiration. Yeah. So I've written. When the lecturer puts it in the plagiarism checker, they said it's plagiarism. But probably you are looking for inspiration and you picked a few things here and there. Yeah, there's bias in AI system. So let's talk first. Let's go through all of them first quickly. Plagiarism versus inspiration. It's whether we are stealing from the actual creatives. Yeah, basically that's it. But you know, you cannot really plagiarize something that you had no idea of. That's how I'm looking at it. If you don't know something and you come all of a sudden and tell us, that will be sort of plagiarism because you are not probably you're not the expert in that area. But if you present it as your own work, yet we know very well this could not have come from you, that is what is plagiarism. Now, I think it's our tasks and our duty for all of us to just use this as ethical people. You know, at the end of the day, people will do what the people will do. You know, even God gave us free will, where yes, these are my commandments, but you will do what I want to do whenever I want to do it, with who I want to do it. Yeah. So it's a matter of misrepresentation, because at the end of the day, I'm a believer of things catching up with you, and I believe majority of you have experienced different things in your life. Yeah. So if you're stealing from someone, at least give them credit. You know, with the creative space, it's easier. You can actually sample someone's beat as long as you give them the credit. You say, I sampled from this specific person, and you agree on your revenue sharing or whatever it is that is beneficial. Some people even get mad because you did not acknowledge them. They don't want your money. They don't want nothing from you. But the mere fact of acknowledging them, that for them is all they needed. Yeah? So that's how I would answer all those questions about where do we draw the line. The line is drawn by you. If your school tells you no using AI, use your creativity, use your talent, use what you've been taught. Because at the end of the day, they will detect that small thing that you have. But if, you see, like the way I was telling you, if you copy-paste, even normal text that is not generated by AI that you have typed and you copy-paste it, even the format on the other side, Word asks you whether you want to paste it as format, paste it as plain text, paste it as keep source formatting. Such things will actually sell you out. Without even AI coming into yet, we haven't even reached to plagiarism, it will look completely different. So in the biasness that we have about just picking, putting, that is where we shoot ourselves in the foot. Yeah? Yeah.
So if you paste without formatting, it carries those watermarks you were talking about, the AI watermarks.
Every time you copy, it carries them on.
Even if you paste
When now you paste as a text, it will still paste, but those, like I said, those characters that are used as the watermarks, you need special AI tools to actually see them. Word in itself is not equipped with that kind of information to look into that.
Which are those tools?
I will look for one and then I will share. Yeah.
You're saying you have to retype the whole.
Yeah. For your own, depending on what you're doing. If it's not something that you're going to be for school, you can do whatever you please. That's why I'm saying it's up to you, depending on the context, depending on how you're using it, and depending on who is going to consume that information. You see how even when the president, I can't remember which president, someone put the entire speech on ChatGPT just from the screenshot. Came back plagiarized and all those things, yeah? So you see, such things are in the public domain that someone even reading. The reason that person put that in the ChatGPT is because they had probably seen it somewhere else. and it comes out like that. That person probably took and added maybe their name, a few words, such things. And that is the ripple effect on how not to use AI. Because at the end of the day, AI is supposed to be your collaborator. Even for me, it would have been very easy for me to come here today with a presentation that I have just put into AI, with just information that I have Googled, that I have not tried, tested, I have not used. It gives me a beautiful presentation. But then at the end of the day, when I stand here, will I be able to answer your questions? Will I be able even to give you relevant examples to help you or give you a bit of context? So, you see, I could have done that, but I value generating content because I want you to ask me questions based on things I know, because that I have actually read about for a minute and can actually defend myself on why I am thinking like this, so that you can have a conversation around it. And probably I can get feedback from you in terms of, you know better than I in that specific thing. And I'll say, okay, yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it, and we proceed. Yeah. So majority of these things are basically just centered on the human biasness as a whole. Ideally, how I will keep repeating, how I use the data or AI for that matter is entirely up to me. Yeah, based on the output, based on who I want to impress, and how I want to present this data. If someone who has the specific knowledge to audit anything that is being out there, you will find a lot of these things being used everywhere. But it's a matter of, how am I using it? Am I claiming to be a data analyst? Well, I am not. Yeah, that's now where it becomes an ethical question. Are we lying to each other? Are we just talking and doing things because I was bored, I decided to be, now, hey, AI can make for me music now, let me stop being an engineer, let me go become a musician just because I can use the voice of Elvis Presley and he's not here to fight me, such things. It's basically a bias, copyright ownership. All these things are predominantly how we interpret it as humans. It is our creation. But then how do we also work within the confines of what we have created? Yeah? It's the same thing as how we use even a car. If it's my car and I give it to you, I have placed a certain value on my car, that if I give it to you and I see you carrying charcoal with it, logs with it, I will be mad. Yeah? But for you, you're okay, it works for you at that particular point. But for me, if I give you the car, I'll rather tell you, don't use it to do this. And that is where, for example, even at work, even as Gmail, emails and all that, do not just, yes, it's there, but do not just click it auto-reply. You might auto-reply and it, instead of dear sir, it says dear madman, something of the sort. That just because you didn't look through it and automating everything, there's still the need for human touch in everything that pertains to AI. The biasness that I talked about the 50%, 20%, 10%, those are things that actually were done basically by the people who initially trained it, and it was tested. That a judge was doing, this is how he ruled because of he's a racist, he doesn't like black people, or for whatever reason. Yeah, he did that. So now if I train with him as a subject, even me as a black person, if I give it a result and I tell it I'm in Africa, clearly the funnel will go in that direction. And from the previous slide you saw, once we do great prompting, that funnel is connected. Yeah, and once it's connected, if the AI has biased me as a black person, there's no coming out of that tunnel until at the end. No matter how much I refine it, I try to iterate it, it will still end me up in that direction. But if the bias has now been removed, ideally, it will give me an option for all the other sides. Yeah. So the risk of defects, this is unfortunately inevitable. There are people out there who, that's why I keep saying, the human touch of it is what brings it to us. Yeah. So that's why you've seen people who are ethical are bringing out solutions to combat these things. Yeah, so you find like that someone who has created that app, that AI where you put information, it helps you remove all those things, the watermarks and all. Someone who has created an AI that if you send an image of Trump doing something that you know Trump will probably not be doing, they can be able to tell this is a deepfake, this is an original, you know, such things. Even from here locally where people are giving statements left, right, and center about specific things, and then they come back, we look at it 2 hours later, it has been stamped fake on X. Yeah, such things. People are actively innovating to ensure that we curb these deepfakes, because ideally, the person who was conceptualizing the use of AI did not, okay, probably he did anticipate that people will use it for the wrong reason, but now that also creates an opportunity for us to counter that and make things, try and balance out the scale. But as I keep saying, the buck stops at the human interpreter. Yeah? For copyright and ownership, I have talked about misinformation, misrepresentation, as well as just basically just if you're going to refer to someone. Even we know how in Kenya there was a case about photography in events and things like that. Someone sued someone for using their photo without the explicit consent. Yeah, that is a copyright infringement. But now you walk in even into a church, it has their big label that say we have, by walking into this premise, we have the right to use your photo for specific things. Yeah, it's basically just if they had not told us that, they were using it a long time ago. Now, does that mean all of us go back to all our photos where we were used inappropriately and start suing people? It cannot work like that. But until that one person did that, now you're very cautious. Even at events, you find they have different tags for where the photographers are told not to take people with the red tags because they do not want to be in photos. You know, so it has opened up another level of ownership that was not there. So the same way we are doing that for the photography and our image rights, it's the same way we handle these things, because at the end of the day, maybe I am picking your music because you inspire me and I grew up listening to you, and I want to, if I can be even as close as possible to you, according to me, I have made it. Yeah? So those are some of the things that we actually look at in terms of things like copyright. But at the end of the day, there will be laws definitely that will be crafted. We hope they will involve us creatives, because I think we are one of the biggest economies that will really, really suffer with such things, where people are using your images for their own things. It might be a joke on TikTok, but it affects you in corporate world before you, because unfortunately right now, as millennials, as Gen Zs, the guys who are giving gigs probably are way older, boomers, Gen X, and all those people. They won't see it as a joke. They will think it's you. And before you convince them, you're already starting from a disadvantage. Yeah? So such things will be addressed. And hopefully, the way we are going with the Kenya AI strategy from 2025 to 2030, these things will be addressed within that period and hopefully become better for each and every one of us. Yeah? So at the end of it all, it's up to us to choose whether we see AI as a collaborator or as a threat, because at the end of the day, we are the ones who are going to be using it. And if someone interprets it as a collaborator, well and good, and they will put in place all these measures to avoid these ethical challenges. But if they see it as a threat, they will actively disassociate themselves from using AI as a tool. Yeah. So all these things, the biasness, the authenticity, the originality, are pretty broad and are pretty big, and can lead to a lot of skewed output. Things may predominantly mean even things such as culture, you know, all these things. There's a big spectrum that if we were to discuss it now, we will be here until the end of the day, because we'll pivot to gender, we will pivot to racial biasness, you know, all these things. Yeah, the misinformation also, fake news, all this, and that, like I said, before someone actually clears their name, a whole nightmare. And probably, even if they do, at what point, what has been lost may not be fully regained. Might be gained a bit, but not fully absorbed, yeah? And also things like the job displacement fears. I think we talked pretty much in detail about how we can leverage its power and looking at it in that view. So basically, the key, I'll just talk about 4 points that basically tie up the use of the ethics on the use of AI. One is we always need to review and refine AI-generated content. What I was talking about. If you do not review, it will look. For example, if we know each other, we've talked. If you sent me a text on WhatsApp that is AI-generated, it's very easy for you to know because of how our previous conversations are going. You know, if you ask ChatGPT to give you a message for WhatsApp, it adds a lot of emojis. But between me and you, we don't put emojis, so definitely I will know. Then, straightforward. That is done, yeah? So always review and refine that data and make it personal. Because AI is only there to enhance you, not the other way around, yeah? The other thing, like I mentioned, credit human collaborators where applicable, yeah? Do your best to ensure that if you're using someone else's information, credit them, and even come to the table and figure out if it's a compensation, all those things. Like I said, some people don't even want financial thing. You actually using their beat or something is a glorification for them, and they're very proud of that. So they will let you even use, they will even plug you with other artists and give you a better platform, yeah? The third thing is avoid using AI to deceive or manipulate people, yeah? Do not present something that is not, that you clearly cannot defend as your work. You will see fire, for lack of a better description, yeah? And the final thing is stay informed about the Rapidly. This is a new thing. Like I said, there's a Kenyan AI strategy that was launched by the Ministry of ICT. Stay informed with policies, with licensing, so that you don't find yourself on the borderline of, did I do it right? Did I do it? Because these things come with heavy fines, and that can put you back, set you back way longer than you had even anticipated. Yeah? So at the end of the day, always remember AI is a tool, and how you use it is a reflection of your values. Not my values, your values and your ethics. If you're not ethical, it will be evident with how you use AI. If you're an ethical person, it will reflect your values and your ethics. So that's basically majorly what this talks about, and how best we can encourage positive and responsible creativity, just to make sure that we are not a statistic that we don't know how to use, or we are ambassadors of technology is a bad thing. You know, at the end of the day, there's always bias in every aspect. So this is just a quick summary of that. And then finally, we're just going to be talking about, this is just a summary of all what we've been talking about. Some of the tools, the OpenAI Playground, which is what I was talking about, it being plugins on the other side. Midjourney Guide, this is for image generation. Google AI Toolkit has a lot of AI toolkits across all board. Google is going all in across all aspects. For communities, mostly Reddit and AI WhatsApp groups, channels, there are quite a number. If you just search on WhatsApp, you'll find, on Reddit you will find, where guys actively talk about how to make AI better. There are creatives out there who are actively advocating for this, and they're even answering some of these questions that we may have about everything else, yeah? And then books as well, Prompt Engineering and Artist in the Machine by those guys there. They will give you an insight on how to make your work better. At the end of the day, I don't expect you to, after this presentation, now you go telling people I am a prompt engineer. This will make you improve your skill, ideally, at the end of the day. They are I think they're available online for free, PDFs. If you just Google that, add the .pdf at the end, you can be able to actually get those books for yourself, just to practice and see what is out there and what others are doing. Yeah, we learn best by example, and I believe examples actually make things easier for you to conceptualize than just reading. So these books are example-based, not too much content, but example-based, and I believe they can make it quite simple for you. Yeah, so basically that's majorly it. The resources we've just talked about, the AI use, the prompt engineering skills from the books, and AI as a tool. Basically that's, to sum it all up, that's all you need to actually begin your journey of refining how you interact with AI. All the tools there. The resources are actually very much available. AI itself will tell you where those resources are. So if you know how to prompt it, it will give you even the resources. It will give you the hacks, the cheat codes, everything that you need. And it will even package it for you in a way that you can now personalize it and it becomes your identity. Yeah. So with that, I think I have come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for the questions, the comments. I know we have eaten into the time pretty much, but there's lunch, so don't worry. Yeah, so unless there's any burning questions that you would want me to answer. Let me just check on the online guys. I'll quickly run them through. Does AI retain memory of work I've done before? Unless you ask it to, or you haven't checked that scenario where that box I was talking about earlier, it will not remember. You will have to keep reiterating and reminding it, yeah? But it's predominantly have. There's someone asking, suppose I have a script writing chart that I use to work on a different script. I come back with a different script. Will AI maintain the same kind of thinking it used in the previous script, or will AI remember the same script that I used? Like I said, how you asked it, the tone you set it, is how it will react. If you want it to react, tell it, as per my previous script, this is a new script, continue in the same line. It will automatically do that for you. But if you want it to completely forget about all that, start afresh and move on directly. Does AI have data privacy? AI, all the tools that I've used so far, they actually require you to actually give them consent to use their data, to use your data rather. So ideally, if you want it to access your data, or I've seen, it's called Qwen 2.5, the Chinese one, asks you if, even in the middle of conversation, it will ask you, this data is very nice. Are you okay with us adding it to a language model? Yeah? And if you do, it will add it. If you don't, it says, okay, thank you, and you move on. It does not really attack you directly and just take it and go out there. But if it has access to the internet and your data is on the internet and you put it there, it will be able to find it if it is connected. Yeah. The other question is, how do we control bias when it comes to AI, since it's learning? Since it is learning, how do we ensure it's not taught racial, financial, demographic bias? Same thing I just mentioned. It's unfortunate, but all we can do is make it better, because ideally the humans who are training are humans. How they do things is how they do things. Yeah, we can only make it better based on, you do something, you do feedback, and you check how that went, and then from there you can now craft action points to ensure that things such as racial bias, financial management, mismanagement, and demographic bias does not come into play at a larger scale, because that now will be guiding us. Like I said, like a funnel, it will guide us to the wrong end. Yeah. The other one is, how can artists protect the original work in a world where others can feed it directly into AI? Same thing. IP, copyright, ownership acknowledge it, because that thing will come. For example, if I steal it and I don't tell the actual owner, and it goes up and becomes a very nice song, and this guy figures it out that it was, he will definitely come back for you. And we've seen it happen before, where artists are suing each other because of a line that they use that is 100% theirs, and they can prove it with things like YouTube. Mine was published 9 years ago, yours was published today. So at the end of the day, it's just a matter of appreciating the growth, even in school. It's very hard for you to become better than the teacher, yeah? Because at the end of the day, that teacher learned everything, went and focused on biology. This is you who is a student. You have biology, you have physics, you have chemistry, you have all the other subjects. You can only consume just enough to pass the specific. And that teacher will not give you an exam from campus right now. But when you go to campus, you focus on biology. Now, you can even come back and become a teacher in probably high school because of specialization, yeah? It's the same thing. Yeah, I think the others I have pretty much talked about. There's one here that, can AI help boost creativity or possess challenges in the creativity, including job displacement, copyright issues, and privacy issues? I think we've covered that. Yeah, I think that's majorly it. Are there any other questions from the room? As I close down, I would kindly ask you to, I want to share a QR code where you can give us feedback on how this was, how I did, if you liked it, and what other, I know there are a couple of questions that our team has prepared, so we can just look into that and see how best to serve you guys better moving forward. I will just, yep, you can scan the QR code, give us feedback, let us know how we did, how I did, how probably we could. I can't remember the questions, but you can let us know. We will definitely take your comments into consideration, and then in our aim to serve you guys better, because you're our community and we live for you. Yeah. So with that, you have a question? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Before you learn how much context you need to give AI for the best results,
Mhm.
you can ask
Yeah.
AI,
Yeah.
what more info can I give you for you to give me the best results?
Yeah, true. Yeah, like she said, AI is there to facilitate you. How you talk to it, you can even ask it to give you a prompt for that specific thing, and it will guide you. And then you use that prompt on it, and it will give you the entire catalog of what you need. So it's basically an iterative process. Yeah, you ask it, it gives you. You finish, it does that. Yeah. So yeah, if there are no further questions, thank you for the online guys as well for your questions. For those I haven't, I'll probably look into them and get our coordinators to facilitate them in their respective spaces. But thank you so much. It's been an interactive presentation. And I've really enjoyed myself. It's been lovely. And yeah, so thank you so much. I'll invite my colleague to wrap it up for us. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Edwin. That was a wonderful session. I hope that we have learned something new, and I hope that we have prompted an interest in AI as a tool and how we can better use it. And I hope that we can move to more specific sessions in terms of AI, specific tools, probably for specific genres of our industry, and see how best we can learn these tools and apply them in our everyday work. So once again, Edwin, thank you so much for that presentation. For those who have joined us through our stream, just for those of you here, we streamed this to our other locations, Kisumu, Mombasa, and Nakuru. So we have had a group of people join us from that end, and I also hope that they have learned something new. And going forward, we also hope that these sessions can also cut across the different counties so that we're able to learn together. So those who have joined in those locations, thank you very much. And I do hope that you have enjoyed the session. Please remember to give us feedback about the session so that we can better give more and be more specific in our trainings for you guys to enjoy. With that, thank you so much. I will communicate when the next session will be so that, and of course the topic. If any one of us is an expert in AI or can impact some knowledge to the rest of us on AI, you're welcome to talk to me so that we can arrange for such kind of a session and for you to lead the session. If you have any suggestions as to who can assist us or we can bring in to also train us, I'm also open to suggestions so that we are able to have them on board and they train us on whatever tools that we would like. These sessions should be a show and tell. We should be able to gain practical experience from these sessions, especially touching on AI. So with that, I would like to say thank you so much and close the session at that point. Thank you.